Believe this. Believe this, the treatment of individuals with disabilities by an overly understanding, empathetic, or patronizing society can exacerbate their physical and mental conditions. I didn't believe this until a knowledgeable source explained it to me, allowing me to reflect on my own unappreciated past experiences. No one likes to be treated as if they are incompetent, especially when others believe it's in their best interest. We aren't striving for pity, we want more awareness and equal treatment. Your subconscious is acutely aware of everything that happens, all your thoughts, words, and actions, as well as your reactions and responses. This leads to powerful mental and physical alterations in your inner and outer realities. When you continually express gratitude for minimal assistance with everyday tasks, your mind takes note, thinking that you must want this kind of treatment. It then uses its power to deliver what it believes is best for you, causing these occurrences to happen more frequently. This explains why adapting to misunderstood societal norms is so prevalent. To make our communities better, consider how you would like to be treated if you were disabled. Would you prefer being treated with kid gloves or as a valued member of society? Physical differences do not imply incompetence. Welcome to our world. I derive immense satisfaction from my work, one of the few things that truly gratify me. I am confident that my work has value and will positively impact anyone who engages with it. Enjoy the learning journey. Correspondence: is reality real? Humans use various methods to represent their world, including thought, perception, beliefs, desires, imagery, and language. I will share my experiences with each of these aspects. Thought: as a young person, I overestimated my abilities and underappreciated my talents. Following a brain trauma, I lost my mental capabilities. However, I rehabilitated and regained my abilities, only to lose them again. Yet, I continue to have inspired thoughts as I navigate different realities. Perception: my youthful naivety ended abruptly when I became an adult, faced with disability, isolation, mental health challenges, and an unfamiliar community. I used to think everything was easy and that my life would be smooth. I didn't worry about the future and lived for the moment, even when I began drunk driving. It was only decades after an accident that I began to reflect on questions about my life and its implications. Now, I often look back, even though it's considered unhealthy, and I dream and plan for an amazing future. Belief: I have experienced disillusionment and revaluation of my beliefs about people and the world. From thinking the world was harsh and full of dishonest people, to believing in its beauty and goodness, and back to skepticism, my journey has been a roller coaster. My experiences have taught me that we can recover from anything by creating our own realities. Desire: my desires have evolved over time. Now, I have a clearer vision of my place in the future. Despite some desires seeming unrealistic, I continue to strive for a better future. Language: I've always valued communication and good conversation. However, brain damage has led to difficulties in finding words and temporary speech issues. Nonetheless, I continue to explore and learn, shaping my understanding of the world. Concepts: your perception will differ from mine, his, hers, or theirs. A successful world requires all kinds, each with their own worldview. We each view things from our individual perspectives. Some might see a glass of water as half full, others as half empty. A person stranded in a desert might see it as ultimate refreshment. A fish might not perceive water as a separate entity because it's everywhere in their home. I've come to accept that the word disability is natural, and I no longer hold the stigmas I once did. What is a disability and how does it affect people? There isn't a single answer to this Question: just as no two people have the same fingerprints, no two people experience a disability in the same way. At a day center for people after head injury, we all had the same trauma, but it affected each of us in different ways and to different degrees. Even among people with the same diagnosed disability, say autism, the symptoms and effects can vary greatly. Moreover, a person's mood can greatly enhance or detract from their presentation. Our thoughts and perspectives are affected by news, publicity, privacy, society, and what we hear and see. This can have an astonishing impact. For example, a person with severe disability might have their thoughts and views affected by how society changes around them. Stories of other people's disabilities could give them hope. A lot of us were once in your place of fitness and possibly had similar thoughts. The figures suggest that most people will, at some point in their life, suffer from mental health problems or physical disability, whether temporary or not. Children in schools are the way forward. Exposure is a cure to most things. As a parent gains knowledge and acceptance, they begin to understand the challenges a child with a disability faces. Assumptions can be misleading. Some people might assume I must have been born with a disability, been rebellious or troublesome, but we all know, never assume anything. I've tried to explain why advocates still struggle. What you think differs from what he or she thinks, which differs again from what a child or adult assumes, which is different from what a parent thinks. All these views are probably quite different from what a disabled person knows. Our natural world works on the path of least resistance, just like water traveling down a gully. Similarly, if resistance is detected, survival mode kicks in and you become more alert. The mind cannot tell the difference between realities, imagined or not. Therefore, disability discrimination, however interpreted on both sides, equals resistance. Reward is a significant word for an operating mind. Vulnerability often leads to reward gains of a certain nature, easily obtained, taking the path of least resistance. This book has spanned many decades, and the information was correct at the time of writing. Why are there still drink drivers and why do we have disability acceptance issues? Everyone I spoke to knows of people who have drink drove, and some know of those who practice this regularly. Disability issues are still prevalent. A woman told me, "Oh, things are a lot better now for disabled people, but if you were to enter this world, your appreciation of neglect would soar. Past influenced thought affects current thought, which then affects my reality, leading to more influenced thought, and so on." We should be taught in schools the power of thought and its effects on every aspect of life. Your world is partly shaped by luck, largely by education, and largely by the parenting you received. If a world is to progress, these need to be examined. Emotional intelligence, said to be more important than intelligence quota, should be part of the curriculum. Why is drink driving still an issue? We all agree that none of us desires to harm ourselves or others, become disabled, or face an untimely death. But do we truly understand this? Most of the drink driving offenders I've encountered were more preoccupied with the punishment, fines, or driving bans than their actions' consequences. It's clear there's no benefit or justification to drink driving, so why do so many people still do it? This behavior is often due to its ease and convenience. However, the saying "difficult roads lead to beautiful places" can be paralleled to the idea that opting for the easy path can lead to disaster and devastation. Given the current year and our promise of evolution, it's time to acknowledge the hazardous practices we dare to pursue. We should consider not only the dangers but also our holistic self-worth. Denying our instincts or continuing immoral or unjust actions is harmful to both the doer and the receiver, often in unappreciated psychological ways. New habits will form if the receiver continually faces prejudice and discrimination. Their thoughts, actions, and instincts will create new neuronal pathways. This effect also applies to the instigator, as their actions can burden others. This can result in reputational damage and health effects for both parties. A man who had studied the brain, behavior, and human interaction once introduced me to the idea that societal treatment can worsen people's disabilities, even physically. After years of study, I've found this to be a scientific fact. After studying, I realized that I spent most of my young life in survival mode, which increased my acuity and empathy. However, when the opposition was the community, I had to adapt in unfamiliar ways. I began to display thoughts and attitudes, even automatic facial expressions, that previously seemed absurd to me. Each day brought new challenges I was compelled to face. This is the power of our minds. We can all agree that living with a disability is not our goal. However, behaviors like drinking, doing drugs, fighting, drink driving, or speeding are all a one-way ticket towards some form of disability or mental health issue, and eventually, premature death. Appreciate that a life of disability is very different from any other existence. If you don't want an abstract, confusing view of social obscurity and constantly operate in survival mode, I would suggest being sensible. Spend money on a taxi, arrive late, give a hug, and intoxicate yourself with love instead. Look at prisoners in isolation, the effects on them are profound. Any disability or deviation from the norm can result in social solitude. Our brains desire escape from the silence, leading to neuronal fracturing. Social interaction is necessary for successful development, from childhood through adulthood. Isolation, I believe, is a more significant cause of mortality and suffering than cigarettes. Many of us shy away from strangers, especially those who are different due to disability or mental health issues. We must acknowledge that society is vital for everyone. Humans operate in groups, and how the group perceives the individual impacts their self-perception. There are many caring people among us, but few truly examine their virtues and morals. If people really scrutinized what influences their behaviors, they would realize just how primal humans can be. In conclusion, I dream of abolishing drink driving, promoting disability acceptance, endorsing good living, and nurturing souls. I have studied hard and learned much, and I intend to teach inclusivity and address society's overlooked issues. We can all prosper and help each other to abundance. Every human deserves this, but many of us have faced hardships that have undermined our goodwill and left us struggling to compensate. I want this world to rejoice in serving others. The downtrodden are uplifted, the mighty are modest. Saints are some of these people, but how do we know until we give them time? This podcast is just the beginning of a book I am writing. I still have much editing to do and have only just approached a publisher. I hope that my views, as well as this book, could be taught in schools or at least become public knowledge, for the benefit of everyone. Humanity. I've approached this writing in my unique style, marked by abrupt shifts and leaps. This reflects the journey of my injury, not intended to evoke sympathy, but to educate. My writing style's evolution over the years serves as a lesson to avoid what led me here. My dream is for my writing to advance humanity. Initially, I planned to distribute these encyclopedias to every school in the country once I had the funds. However, I've since recognized the vast reach of the internet. My aim is to reshape the world and educate both the young and the old. I've witnessed the impact of my words, from a woman on a drink driving rehabilitation course vowing never to drink drive again, to school kids recalling my talk a year later. Stay with me, and I may change your beliefs. This writing may seem disjointed, but the lessons are scattered throughout. I've had a tranquil, yet tumultuous, painful, and emotional life. I always felt destined for greater things, and my childhood and a car crash shaped my adult life. My dreams include eradicating drink driving, fostering disability acceptance, promoting good living, and nurturing souls. I realize we have a long way to go to adjust to civilization properly. Those who resist change may not truly accept disability equality or steep learning unless they experience it firsthand. Having studied and learned much, I aim to teach inclusive lessons, addressing the overlooked aspects of society. I believe we can all prosper and help each other towards abundance. We all deserve respect, but some have endured hardship and struggle to give back. I envision a world where we celebrate serving others, where everyone can reclaim their birthright of connection and bliss. The downtrodden are uplifted, and the mighty are humble. We may not recognize saints until we give them time. The drink driver who caused wreckage is often dehumanized. This is even before considering the prejudices towards disabled people. You lose all respect and disdain becomes your existence. Society struggles to relate to your unhappiness and challenges. If you want to experience this, drink drive and witness a world unlike any other. This podcast marks the beginning of a book with a similar title. I have much editing to do and have only recently approached a publisher. I will pause here to share my views on some topics, including this book, which could be taught in schools or at least become public knowledge for global benefit. This plan is apt for schools to become proper foundations for youth. For this world to exhibit what we are all capable of, the foundations must remain sturdy. I propose lessons that include cultural diversity, modules on microaggressions, the power of thought, and disability studies. Acceptance goes hand in hand with becoming accustomed. Although I was told to rely on a wheelchair when I left the hospital, I was determined not to accept that as my fate. I still have a disability today but refuse to accept people treating me as they did in the early days. I strive for equal treatment. Communicate. Active listening is an art. It's important to fully listen to others instead of focusing on what you will say in response. Communication has been an important topic for me, one that has been abused throughout my life. Memories contain both happy and thought-provoking ones. My first memory in my new life was in a hospital bed, wondering how I got there. Spiritual emphasis. Regardless of the challenges I faced, I continue to believe that I was meant to train others. Life may be unfair, but it's possible to make the best of what you have. Dead real spirituality is not always what you think. Depending on the circumstances, spirituality can have many dualities. Adhere to signs. I was told to notice everything but not to look directly. I was supposed to know when I was getting a sign and do what it suggested. A new world. I was supposed to create this new world. Although I face mental health challenges, I continue to persevere and strive to create a world where all communicate and like each other, with deviance, crime, cruelty, secrets, and lack abolished. This work was, in a way, compulsory because I was determined to regain my fitness. I worked hard and kept searching. So, if you don't want to do half the work that led to this book, you know what not to do. Drink driving is easy, but the consequences are not. Your abilities, mental prowess, relationships, and skills, everything that makes you a regular human, deteriorate easily and quickly. You'll never have bigger regrets. Firstly, knowing what you shouldn't do, why then do it? Then you remember parts of my story and wish you had paid more attention. I don't know your lives, just as you don't realize what I've been through these past 20-odd years. Are we on the same page? From my heart, I say, respect lives, don't drink/drug drive or speed. Have a conscience for the people you've injured, or face the consequences such as being charged with murder for the people you've killed, or live in lonely isolation due to your disability. If you insist you're invincible, then save others the heartache and choose the headstone for your own grave. I know the advice is to end books on a happier note, so here's this. Implanting lessons is my intention. I had difficulty throughout life, until the accident, then I understood what real difficulty was. I ignored all the near misses in my car, was even pulled over and breathalyzed by police, and a week later, I was in a drunk drive car crash. I spent 2 months in accident and emergency, unconscious for 6 weeks, in a coma 2 points from brain death, and another 3 months in the hospital. My reality was shaken, I didn't know who my family was, I thought friends were angels from that life I dreamt, thought I was out the night before, but it was actually 4 months later. I initially used a wheelchair, couldn't do stairs, walk on uneven ground or even grass, couldn't integrate and socialize, couldn't eat without choking, couldn't communicate due to brain damage causing word-finding trouble and a severe stutter. They thought I wouldn't manage on my own, but I moved into my own place a year after leaving the hospital. I spent most of the next few years in day centers, hospitals, and mental health units, and had to relocate every time my neurology caused issues with the community. After much relocating, I finally settled in a town and have been living with disability, mental health issues, relationship troubles, very few friends, and societal collision for over 20 years. I've been through a lot but am somewhat happier now. I consider myself very lucky. I am still hopeful and use my story to learn, because a lot of people wouldn't have had the determination and belief to get this far. Thank you for staying on this journey, and please, do yourself and everyone a favor, don't drink/drug drive or speed. Suicide is not a better option. After saying I would help by not ending on a sad note, I am alive and doing well. Love to you all, your author. Doing things in an unconventional way often results in greater wisdom. My battles with drink, loneliness, medication, and deluded thought have taken over 30 years of suspicion, doubt, questions, and near loss of faith. But, I always knew deep within my mind this was all for a purpose. I have sustained an unshakable inner knowing and outer surrender to understand part of a journey we call life. I had to experience lows and depressions before ecstasy began in small increments, but this is after only 12 days of not drinking. It's now very apparent to me that alcohol was keeping me trapped. Others said that's your mental health made worse by the alcohol. After thinking a confused divinity was directing my reality, I am starting to agree. Although I am also starting to think divinity was not confused, I was. I continued drinking to expose a plain reality. This will still evolve to sublimity of different appeasements. After all, I have learned so much that the drink was obscuring from me. Now, sober, I can ponder and contemplate, perhaps just that will create what I was, in denial, so much striving for. I have started to socialize a bit, and find awkwardness in really connecting because I was so used to only practicing this when drunk. I am unaccustomed to sober interactions and must equate back to normality. I feel that I obscured myself, or rather the alcohol kept things from me. 14 days without. And this is all appearing suddenly. I don't like the fact that I said some of the things I did. I curate new agendas. When I was a child, I believed in a fantasy about this life. Let me tell you, those fantasies are reality. By your speech and thought, believe and think, you surely view life as a mirror. Make every laugh and good time a remembered miracle. Find or remember love in everyone, have no fear. Erase sorrow and fear. My top recommendation, if you look at nothing by me, listen to this, live in harmony with the universe, Metaphysics for Everyone, Connie Mendez, audiobook. To our future. Universal mind. Throughout our lives, we often immerse ourselves in deep existential thoughts, pondering questions about our unique individual and collective identities, and the purpose of our existence. As we question our place in the universe and the future of our society and species, we ignite a spark of curiosity that fuels our quest for knowledge and understanding. In today's world, many of us predominantly rely on the rational left hemisphere of our brain. Known for its analytical prowess, logical reasoning, and objective nature. It thrives on facts, data, and concrete, measurable information, shaping our understanding of the world and influencing our daily decisions and interactions. In my experience treating patients, I've found that regardless of their specific condition, each individual also wrestles with some form of emotional baggage. This emotional aspect, often overlooked in traditional healthcare, is universal across all health issues. It is essential to treat not only the physical symptoms but also address this emotional component for a comprehensive healthcare approach. To effectively address this emotional component, engaging the services of a professional, such as a psychologist or therapist, can be beneficial. These professionals can delve into and communicate with your subconscious mind, which retains every experience and piece of knowledge we've ever encountered. Accessing the subconscious mind can provide invaluable insight and understanding. Quantum physicists tell us that despite our physical bodies appearing solid and tangible, we are fundamentally composed of energy, which constantly vibrates, oscillates, and forms the basis of our physical existence. Consciousness, the powerful creator within us, shapes our reality. By harnessing our consciousness, we can influence our lives and the world around us. I consciously choose to let go of suffering and negative emotions, inviting joy, peace, and positivity into my life. Repeatedly experiencing distressing events can instill fear within us, impacting our emotional well-being. When we perceive something as a lie or a potential danger, a physiological response often occurs, manifesting as a contraction or tightening sensation in our solar plexus area, closely associated with our gut instincts. In this moment, I consciously decide to be led by spirit, moving out of fear and into my heart space. Just a moment ago, I found myself wondering about meeting my perfect life partner. Someone with whom I share an amazing connection. As I pondered this question, an answer came to me, causing a joyful grin to emerge on my face. Subconscious mind and energy. I find the study of energy and the subconscious mind fascinating, despite considering myself a novice in these fields. Even with my limited experience, I've had significant successes that I can only describe as miraculous. My methodology involves techniques like meditation, affirmations, self-talk, and listening to specific frequencies. I often engage in dialogue with my subconscious mind, treating it as a separate entity that believes it is in control. This approach is effective because the subconscious mind tends to ignore outright demands but is receptive to beneficial suggestions. It's crucial to present these ideas as suggestions, allowing the subconscious mind to have the illusion of choice and decision-making. For example, I often suggest to my subconscious mind that it should reveal forgotten memories and information to aid my personal development. This practice has led to numerous instances of sudden recall about forgotten events and information. Energy is a vital part of this process. I visualize my rational left brain sending what I call angelic energy to my intuitive right brain. This technique bridges the gap between logical understanding and intuitive insight, promoting a more holistic approach to understanding and decision-making. This is essential, as the rational mind, despite its apparent reliability, is prone to errors and misconceptions. In addition to these techniques, I communicate with my subconscious during my meditations. The information may not be revealed immediately, but it often surfaces unexpectedly while I'm engaged in other activities. It's crucial to pay attention to random words or thoughts, as they may be your subconscious mind trying to communicate with your conscious mind. A notable example of this occurred when I recalled a conversation with a girl I met 3 years ago during a certain time of year. Despite not having seen her since, and initially forgetting about her, the approach of a specific season triggered a series of detailed memories about our conversation and the events of that night. I highly recommend exploring the concept of energy and the subconscious mind. You might be surprised by what you discover. For instance, you can visualize or affirm that positive energy surrounds you. You can even direct this energy towards areas of your body that need healing. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was told he would never walk again after breaking his back, used similar techniques involving placebos, thought, and energy to fully recover. The potential for transformation is truly astounding. An insight into the 9 different types of nonverbal communication skills. Understanding how to interpret clusters of nonverbal cues is pivotal in deciphering underlying messages not expressed verbally. This skill provides a depth of insight into unspoken intentions and emotions, allowing for more nuanced and effective communication. We're conducting a comprehensive analysis of multiple nonverbal cues occurring simultaneously. For instance, a person feeling frustrated may exhibit a combination of cues, such as rhythmic foot tapping, arm crossing, and tight bicep squeezing. These clusters of cues intersect and encompass a wide array of nonverbal categories. The following sections outline these categories, summarizing various forms of nonverbal communication. 1. Body language. Kinesics, the study of body movements, focuses on the head, hands, and arms. It transcends the physicality of motion, delving into nonverbal communication. This includes facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, and posture. These body movements form a language of their own, offering a means of communication that goes beyond spoken words. 1. Touch feedback. Haptics, derived from the Greek word haptikos, trademark, is the scientific study of touch. It investigates the complexities of human touch and its implications on interpersonal relationships. Touch can denote relationship dynamics, status, and personality. Cultural norms define acceptable touch behavior, which varies in different social and environmental settings. 1. Personal space. Proxemics, the study of space and distance, explores how individuals utilize their immediate surroundings. It considers physical distance and personal space, presenting an overview of spatial relations in various contexts. 1. Territory. Territory often displays authority or reveals power deficiency. Control of a specific area represents influence and strength, while the absence of such control signifies weakness or vulnerability. Expansiveness, positioning oneself to occupy more space, triggers a Psychological sense of power and influences behavior and mindset. 1. Environment. Our environment, including personal adornments and artifacts in our surroundings, defines our identity and influences others' perceptions. These items communicate subtle messages about our personality, tastes, and values, playing a crucial role in social interactions. 1. Paralinguistics. Paralinguistics or vocalics studies how we communicate verbally beyond the words we speak. It considers vocal elements like pitch, volume, rate of speech, tone, voice quality, tempo, rhythm, resonance, and articulation, shaping the context and understanding of our spoken messages. 1. Time management. Chronemics, the study of time use and perception, spans personal time management to cultural norms around punctuality. Nancy Henley argues that time is a powerful tool that can be manipulated politically. Her concept of ritual waiting suggests an individual's importance correlates to the time we invest in waiting for their service or attention. 1. Attractiveness. Attractiveness extends beyond physical appeal to non-physical attributes. Good eye contact, facial expressiveness, empathy, kindness, and open body language contribute to perceived attractiveness. Hence, attractiveness is a complex mix of physical and non-physical traits. 1. Olfactics. Olfactics, the study of our sense of smell, explores how we perceive different scents, how our olfactory system works, and how smells can trigger diverse reactions and emotions. Exploration of psychology theories and models. In this discussion, we'll assume that a significant portion of the emotions conveyed in a message originate from body language. Given this assumption, we need to explore theoretical frameworks that address emotional expression to better understand this complex process. The concept of basic emotion theory. The basic emotion theory, BET, suggests that emotions act as a grammar of social living, situating us within the social and moral structure of society. Keltner, Sauter, Tracy, and Cowan. It also posits that emotions provide a framework for significant relational interactions. BET plays a crucial role in how emotions are expressed. A core belief of BET is that emotional expressions facilitate the coordination of social interactions in 3 distinct ways. 1. By quickly communicating critical information, aiding in informed decision-making. 2. By eliciting specific responses from the receiver of the emotion. 3. By serving as incentives that drive others' actions. This coordination is accomplished through various reward systems, such as parents smiling at and caressing their child when they display certain behaviors. Keltner. Originally, BET focused on 6 basic emotions. However, recent research reveals over 20 emotions, each with unique, multimodal expressions. This discovery provides a more comprehensive framework and highlights the evolving nature of emotional expression. Keltner et al. The phenomenon of neural resonance. Neural resonance occurs when 2 individuals with a strong bond mirror each other's facial expressions, gestures, postures, vocalics, and movements. This mirroring is crucial for accurate information transmission between individuals. Newberg and Waldman. To fully understand what another person is expressing, one must listen to and observe the other person as deeply and fully as possible. Newberg and Waldman. Through mirror neurons, neural resonance promotes cooperation, empathy, and trust between individuals. Engaging in effective communication. We all want to be skilled at engaging in effective and stimulating conversations. I personally find such exchanges deeply enriching. After a challenging time of brain trauma, difficulty with word finding, and significant isolation, I discovered the crucial role of social support in restoring my spirit. I know others also struggle with anxieties about communication. Whether it's a fear of not being articulate enough or concern about expressing oneself accurately, these anxieties can be overwhelming. Using my experiences and successful strategies, I'm here to offer advice and insight. My goal is to encourage those wishing to improve their communication skills and reassure them that significant improvements can be achieved with some research. Don't be intimidated by the term research. It doesn't mean you have to create scholarly work or write a PhD thesis. In this digital age, we have all the resources we need at our fingertips. A quick online search can provide a wealth of information and practical tips, setting you on the path to overcoming your communication challenges and becoming a more confident and effective communicator. The power of choice. Choice is a fundamental aspect of our power. Just as change is constant, so are our choices. Every change we make is immediate and universal. Our energetic choices may be even more fundamental than our physical ones. I felt the energy, the emotion telling me not to drink and drive, but I decided to continue. It's possible for anyone to affect the entire planetary community with a simple action, like pressing a button. I foresaw trauma and decades of discomfort as a result of my actions. This emotional energy led me to educate the community, write books, and engage in public speaking. We all have something to share. Instead of succumbing to trauma, I shaped it into my future. I impacted the planet just by sending an email to my publisher. Here are some life-affirming statements to remember, especially when your world seems upturned. Do not betray yourself or others, live with integrity, know and live by your values. Maintain a spiritual worldview, practice kindness, reflect daily, be of service, and empower others. Respond congruently to your inner guidance, and be true to your inner self. Be honest about what truly empowers you. Practice the worldview you adopt, remembering we are all interconnected. Kindness, bestow gems of wisdom that people can carry within their souls, and the practical aspects of kindness will be returned to you. There's power in subtle choices. Every choice affects the whole. What we do and think matters. Give grace freely, and live without regrets. Don't trademark dwell on what you could have done when your end is near. The truth is, we always have a choice. We can accept, change, or walk away. Intelligence and memory. The concept of intelligence and its measurement has been a topic of extensive research and discussion. The inception of the IQ test was a significant milestone, leading to advancements in special education. Students with lower test scores received additional support to aid them in reaching their potential. However, the use of IQ tests faced criticism. With the vast variability in scores and the understanding that intelligence is multifaceted, researchers started exploring alternative methods to measure cognitive abilities. An essential discovery in cognitive intelligence was the recognition of G, often known as general intelligence or the mental energy that powers our cognitive abilities. Similar to how all NASCAR racers use the same high-performance fuel, G was considered a vital element contributing to cognitive performance. However, it became clear that G didn't encompass all aspects of intelligence. For example, there were instances of musically gifted individuals who had learning disabilities, indicating that different mental aptitudes could function as semi-independent modules. This led to the understanding that besides G and IQ, a more holistic approach to understanding intelligence was necessary. Researchers began to consider other factors like interpersonal and intrapersonal emotions. Some focused on observable behavior, while others looked into molecular studies. It was discovered that genetics significantly influenced intelligence. Still, even identical twins, who share the same genes, could have different IQ scores. This suggested the impact of other factors such as the household's education level, income, and even the decade of birth. Further research identified two other types of intelligence: crystallized intelligence, which improves with age, and fluid intelligence, which involves identifying patterns to form connections. Fluid intelligence typically peaks in the early 20s. It was noted that individuals who could utilize both crystallized and fluid intelligence were better equipped to handle changes. Thus, the importance of a multifaceted approach to intelligence should not be overlooked. On the topic of memory, it's important to realize that memory isn't a single, unified concept. Human memory consists of several systems, each with its specific abilities and limitations. These systems can be compared to compartments, with some being better at retaining certain types of information than others. It's a common misconception that our memories are infallible. In reality, even when we believe our recall to be accurate, our memories can often be quite inaccurate. Our memory systems serve a dual purpose: they allow us to revisit our past and also enable us to imagine our future. To improve these memory systems' functioning, we can employ strategies such as repetition, regular exposure to information, adequate sleep, avoiding last-minute cramming, and utilizing techniques like elaborative rehearsal, mnemonic strategies, and mental imagery. Symbolic reasoning. Symbolic reasoning, which could arguably be a distinguishing factor between humans and other animals, is an intriguing concept. Symbols are often misinterpreted in society, like associating an uneven walk with drunkenness, which I find deeply shocking. Due to a disability, my off-centered walk is noticeably different from that of an inebriated person. Yet, I've frequently received scornful looks from people assuming I'm inebriated, even when I'm fully sober. A humorous example that highlights this misconception is the Force Volkswagen advert. It showcases the assumptions people make based on surface appearances in a lighthearted manner. During a rare night out, I observed a disturbing trend. Drunk, aggressive teenagers often targeted those they assumed were more intoxicated for an easy fight. Unbeknownst to them, the person they picked on was not drunk but had a disability. Such a cowardly act. Another intriguing condition is motion blindness, where people perceive moving objects as a series of still images. Sharing these experiences aims to foster appreciation for our abilities. For me, it underscores that my journey could have been even more challenging. Although I usually don't believe in comparisons, they can sometimes lead to significant behavioral changes and can be seen as acceptable. Dualism extends to various aspects of life: the mind and the brain, the television screen and the image, the wine bottle and its contents. Dualism often has multiple layers, leading to the philosophical proposition that the ghost in the machine might be better phrased as the ghost is the machine. Trademark brain. The brain, as a physical organ, is part of two nervous systems and connected to the spine. This system can lead to some peculiar occurrences, such as alien hand syndrome. For example, a woman who had a stroke that damaged the connection between her brain hemispheres found that one of her hands would involuntarily try to choke her, while her other hand would struggle to fend off the attack. This shows that if the brain can instinctively control limbs, it has the potential to manipulate mental structures in a similar holographic manner. Damage to a physical organ, like the brain, can affect everything that it enables, from speech and thinking to movement and emotions. The brain also enables social interactions, as demonstrated by an inspiring story. During a sports day race, one girl stopped running due to exhaustion. Her friend carried her on her back and slowly crossed the finish line. They didn't win the race, but they won gold for Demonstrating companionship and support. On the other end of the spectrum, a mountaineer struggling to descend a mountain was left to die by the rescue team, who believed they were risking their lives because it was taking too long to guide him down. These stories demonstrate the remarkable contrast in how society treats people with disabilities. Some individuals are considerate and well-meaning, but their assistance can sometimes come across as an exaggerated display of courtesy or small talk. 10 tips for physical and mental balance. 1. Exercise. Maintain a fitness routine that includes aerobic conditioning, strength training, and flexibility exercises. Prioritize this routine to increase mental sharpness, physical endurance, and overall health. Regular exercise can also reduce the risk of disease. 2. Hydrate. Drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. Proper hydration helps regulate body temperature, transport nutrients, lubricate joints, aid digestion, and maintain youthful, healthy skin. 3. Embrace life. Even if it doesn't always seem so, life is perfect. You may face challenges, but remember that you have the power to create your dreams, no matter how big. 4. Overcome fear. We all have fears that may keep us in our comfort zones. However, to grow and lead an energetic life, we need to face these fears and take risks. 5. Visualize daily. Visualize your goals, dreams, and ambitions every day. Visualization can help you achieve what may seem impossible, including physical and mental improvements. 6. Eat healthily. Regularly consume fruits and vegetables. Poor nutrition can lead to illness, disease, and potentially premature death. 7. Live in the present. Enjoy each moment as it comes. Yesterday is past, and while tomorrow is shaped by today, it is essential to fully experience the present. 8. Live with integrity. Align your actions with your beliefs to achieve peace and happiness. How you present yourself externally mirrors your internal state. 9. Build self-esteem. Let go of past baggage and develop self-respect. Your attitude, thinking, feelings, and actions are all reflections of how you feel about yourself. 10. Show respect. Do not let circumstances control you. Make things happen instead. Respect that others are doing their best, and appreciate differences and difficulties. It is recommended to engage in at least 30 minutes of moderate physical exercise on most days. A good regimen includes a 3 to 5 minute warm-up, 5 to 10 minutes of aerobic activity, gradually increasing to 60 minutes, a 3 to 5 minute cool down, 5 to 10 minutes of stretching. Any reason? Is there any justification for drunk driving or speeding? Death, injury, disability, mental health issues, court cases, fines, bans, imprisonment, or even murder are potential consequences. If you choose to drive recklessly, you're risking these outcomes, often experiencing more than one. There's no logical reason to drive dangerously. Exceptions might be if you're desperately trying to get a friend home safely, or if you're seeking a thrill. Should death occur, you'll leave your family and friends in devastation. If you suffer injury, disability, or mental health issues, you'll have to navigate a society ill-equipped to accommodate your needs. You may even find yourself giving speeches about the dangers of reckless driving and the challenges you face. Court appearances, fines, bans, and imprisonment can serve as a harsh lesson on the repercussions of your actions. You might face financial struggles due to fines, or inconvenience due to a driving ban. You could even end up documenting your time in prison. Should you cause a death, you'll have to live with a criminal record, potentially struggle to find employment, and carry the weight of your actions. This is a reputation you'll have to bear. Intend to lift My goal is to uplift everyone. I will not only share my first-hand experiences, but also include various struggles encountered on the path to health. By health, I mean well-being, contentment, and life approaches. This goes beyond just common sense. While we all possess sensibilities, do they also encompass an understanding of unseen or hidden forces? I finished a second piece of writing, which was read by a man who greatly influenced my life. However, he couldn't bear to finish it. While his critique initially disappointed me, I soon understood his perspective. His feedback made me reflect and, to my surprise, I agreed with most of his points. He essentially said my work lacked clarity, was repetitive, and too personal and offensive. Still honing my writing skills, I will strive to be more balanced and less opinionated. I will apply everything I've learned to this writing, aiming to create a masterpiece. Remember, productive thoughts can shape your reality. I use the written word to convey messages to readers. Last time, I took readers on an extended journey without a clear objective. This time, I'll make the purpose of the text clear from the outset, so you'll know why you're reading and where we're headed. I experienced impacts in my life that I didn't fully comprehend until now, after a 30-year journey towards adulthood. Emotionally influential factors were present for 30 years or more. As a child, I was unable to recognize, understand, or even acknowledge the character determining structures in my environment. I didn't realize how my responses, reactions, or even passive observations significantly influenced the outcome. I don't want to discuss my health and social life from childhood to my teens, although these do impact some of the later stories I wish to share. It's important to be aware of the multiple external forces that influence even our adult lives. From my modest and somewhat charismatic beginnings up until 19, the following years were transformative, though the reasons aren't important for this brief sketch. These years saw me lose my way, engaging in reckless behaviors such as drinking and driving, getting into frequent fights, and experiencing frequent periods of unemployment. I felt like I had nothing to live for. After moving home and leaving a seasonal job, I had few friends and did not enjoy this period of my life. I started college, but past experiences made it difficult for me to adjust to living with strangers in student accommodation. So, I left, took a year off, and then re-enrolled, commuting to college instead. Photography was my major, and it came naturally to me. I eventually delved into digital photography, manipulating images digitally. The enclosed picture is one of the last pieces of my work that wasn't lost during my travels. I finished college a year early because they said I was skilled enough that they couldn't train me much more, and recommended I go to university. However, I chose not to go to university and instead started working in a factory. We all went out every week in the town next to where I lived, and I was the one who drove. Learn from the little lessons, treat them as warnings, or face the consequences. One night, I was driving drunk in my town. I came upon a sharp right turn. I wasn't speeding, but I misjudged the turn and hit the railings. These railings prevented me from falling into a lowered pathway. However, the incident punctured a tire and damaged the undercarriage of my car. This simple mistake ended up costing me, but it didn't hurt me. Still, I didn't take this as a warning. Once, we were at the pub in the afternoon and I had 3 or 4 pints. Sometime later, while driving home down the dual carriageway and round the roundabout, I was pulled over by the police. They breathalyzed me. I admitted to drinking, claiming I only had 2 pints. And that it was hours ago. The breathalyzer beeped, indicating a high reading close to being over the limit. The officer warned me, saying, "Lucky, take this as a warning." But I didn't heed his advice. I was out drinking and driving most weekends, and even some weekdays. Such disrespectful behavior. A few weeks later, I experienced my first recall in a dream. It was as if I was in a sci-fi movie. Everything was surreal and abnormal, yet everyone around me was acting professionally, thinking they were doctors and nurses. I was trying to devise a plan to escape from this sidebarred bed and find a phone box to call my real mother, even though one side of my body was numb. Then, after a nurse had pulled down my pants and attached something to me, an angel walked in. Alongside her boyfriend, we were roommates at that seasonal workplace. This was all really happening. I was in the hospital, transferred to A&E 6 weeks ago, and I remember nothing. Finally, I found myself out of bed and in a wheelchair, still entertaining thoughts of escape. Though my thinking was far from clear. When I needed to use the bathroom, I had to ring a bell for a nurse to assist me, as my dominant hand was useless. This situation was deeply embarrassing, even though my non-dominant hand was functioning perfectly well. The doctors and nurses weren't figments of my imagination. I had been in a coma for weeks, teetering on the brink of brain death after a car crash. I was intoxicated at the time of the accident, leading to a challenging period that surpassed even the worst nightmares. As for my release, I moved back in with my parents. Due to my inability to climb stairs, I slept in the living room. Every trip to the bathroom required pre-planning because it took me about 10 minutes to get there. I ascended the stairs sideways with assistance for extra support. Coordinating standing and urinating was a struggle, so I had to sit. Once finished, I descended the stairs by sitting, shuffling down one step at a time. I often choked on my food and needed assistance with eating and cutting it up. This was a difficult period for those around me. I was brain damaged and unaware, often reacting excessively to everything. My mother had to adjust to tasks like rolling cigarettes for me. My sister was sensitive and my temper caused her to move out, unable to bear seeing her brother in such a state. Our relationship has not been the same since. The man of the house had to make significant adjustments to accommodate my condition. We had past issues that I stubbornly held onto, which made it necessary for him to form a new relationship with me, filled with understanding and patience, despite my often aggravated mood. I attended a day center for individuals with head injuries. While it was mundane yet amicable, it was also a social gathering, so I didn't mind that we did very little. The house remained tense for about a year until I moved into a council flat in the city. Many people were concerned about my ability to live alone, fearing I might choke again. I then started attending another day center, this time for disabled people with a specific group. For head trauma patients. It was just as mundane and amicable, but by this time, I had improved slightly, albeit still struggling with an extreme gait and thought process. One day, I learned that a fellow patient from the hospital had moved into supported flats nearby. I visited him regularly. He was in a wheelchair with brain damage, but he seemed more aware than most. He found the day center unappealing, and we used to do woodworking together. Though most of our work involved passing tools to a skilled worker, I once brought home a bird table, proudly telling my mother, "Here Mum, I built this," when all I had done was fetch the nails. I used to aimlessly wander around the city, thinking that walking might help improve my condition. However, I realized that you can condition your body to function incorrectly. I Started doing voluntary work as I needed something else to keep me busy. Being on the computer or just walking wasn't enough. At a contact center where I created posters, I got a significant look from the manager on my first day. It took me weeks, even months, to figure out what that meant. It was only when she mustered the courage to ask for my number and texted me that I understood. She liked me. That realization was a revelation. Amid my solitude and thoughts of an impending end, I found hope. I realized life wasn't over yet. I could live for someone I cared about. Those were heavenly times. She would visit every night and our laughter was our bond. Eventually, I went to rehab without officially ending our relationship. We haven't seen each other since those happy days. I want her to remember me as I was then. Her memory has changed me, and for that, I'm grateful. Somewhere along the way, I lost my sanity. A mental wealth call was due. I lost my sense of humor, my mind became blank. The next few years were a blur of suicide attempts and stays in mental health facilities. Losing my brilliant mind was a bitter pill to swallow. I could not see the justice in beginning with such potential only to end up in this state. I never utilized my talents productively, thus the phrase, use it or lose it. I didn't quite finish this, but I think it's a good summary of my life, except for the parts about self-healing. I won't add them, as I don't a Euro trademark want to give false hope of recovery. This is meant to deter you from drunk driving. Drink driving, disability, society, respect, truths, visualization, return to health, these are the themes of my life. Friendship. Since leaving school, my life has been deeply shaped by the memories of loyal friends. Navigating mental health issues and a minor disability has brought numerous challenges, causing many previous acquaintances to drift away. This could be due to changes in my personality or their own personal interests, such as a desire for beer, money, warmth, companionship, or shelter. Forming new, meaningful connections has been difficult since my accident, a reality that seems at odds with a society that claims to be understanding and accepting. Although progress is being made towards societal acceptance, those who say things are much better usually do not share my experiences of obscure looks, distrust, and various forms of unkindness. However, I don't attribute all these experiences solely to disability. Might it surprise you to know that I believe the spiritual world also plays a part? Despite facing obstacles and enduring what some may consider failures, I have persevered. I was once an active public speaker, but that was disrupted by incidents in rehab. Rather than viewing this as another failure, I saw it as a temporary setback. Despite adversity, I continued my journey, writing and self-publishing books on various topics including anti-drink driving, disability, society, family life, parenting, consciousness, and self-help in rehabilitation. Despite being labeled a failure, my works received excellent reviews from professionals who recommended them to others. I have compiled my best works and plan to publish them as an encyclopedia in testament to my resilience and as a response to doubters. I am particularly proud of my most recent work. I believe it is a significant achievement and plan to distribute copies to all the universities, colleges, and schools in my county, self-financing if necessary. I once tried to promote a book to a local newspaper, but despite promises of a follow-up, I never heard from them again. Despite this, I am determined to continue my mission to improve society independently. It is disheartening to be denied assistance that should be available. I once wrote a letter to the Council, highlighting their waste on trivial matters in the face of a global crisis. Only I have heard the comments about my work, seen children's reactions, and maintained firm confidence in my abilities. Interestingly, do you recall the prediction that the world would end in 2012? It seems that the world as we knew it did end in 2020, but a new one is promised. I am convinced that my work contributes significantly to the formation of this better society. This idea may seem far-fetched, but I invite you to wait and see. Act of God or self-imposed. An acquaintance arrived early, the same time as me, at a unique couple's house. They were some of the most riveting people I've ever met, shaped by their life experiences and their own strong personalities. The lady of the house was baking a devil's food cake, its actual name. Even though they're my best friends, I sometimes see something peculiar in their home and belongings. She asked me to run to the store for milk and eggs. The acquaintance had left, and I saw him at the bus stop. We chatted aimlessly for a few minutes before I excused myself. He and I had fallen out, yet she was on good terms with him. I'm less fond of him because he stole from me. On my way, someone stopped me to ask for directions. The street they were looking for bore the same name as one I lived on in a town where I had memorable experiences. Oddly enough, this man was selling phones for a company I'd been warned about. Was this a sign? He shared his story of surviving a cardiac arrest 5 times, looking healthy now. Seeing car license plates started to feel significant again. I spotted J13SRY, which could be a celestial apology, 13 being a spiritual number and my initial. What could they truly signify? I yearned for clearer signs. I'd started noticing signs in my old town and they continued, though less frequently, in my new town. I gradually adjusted to them. When my mum made an insurance claim for an injury, they labeled it an act of God. I wouldn't have had a chance anyway due to my drunk driving, but the icy conditions excused them. They didn't know I'd been drinking. I see both blessings and detriments as acts of a higher power. I was told that personal choice factors in, but my options seemed limited and risky, with a high likelihood of failure. Life can take you from oblivion to serene depths, and halfway back, then the cycle begins. Anew but stronger. Either strength will prevail, or defeat will destroy. I've come too far for the latter. Respect. Do you respect all people, all things, all of life, including yourself? The lessons I've gathered from my life and research years aren't meant to preach, but to share my experiences. Despite living with regrets and failures, I've learned a lot. My hope is that you can learn from my trials without having to experience them yourself. I used to have great respect for the wrong things and little respect for the right ones, thinking I was doing fine. I believed my emotional intelligence made me correct in most situations. I dismissed opposing opinions, thinking I was always right. It took rehab to help me identify the narcissistic streak in me. I was generally content with my character, but as a narcissist, I overlooked my fatal inconsistencies. My upbringing, shaped by family and health issues and lack of moral guidance, allowed me to grow with few character-building rules. I created my own rules that catered to my developing ego. Engaging children in conversations about their feelings, thoughts, and fears can have profound effects on their ability to communicate and operate. It can also strengthen your relationship with them. While I'm not an expert or a psychologist, I share these thoughts based on my own experience and what I felt I lacked growing up. As children mature into adolescence, their support needs also evolve. We need to adapt our teaching methods to match their growth. For instance, in my teens, I lacked respect for the opposite sex, resulting in behaviors I later regretted. Early education on important matters can help children understand the virtues of respect for all things. Even with life skills education, it's crucial to cater to the holistic needs of a child. A lapse in one area can outweigh the efforts put in other areas. It's essential to understand the hierarchy of development, for which Maslow Euro trademark's hierarchy of needs provides a solid foundation. In my early adulthood, I was still a teenager at heart because my brain and character had not developed the main virtues. I continued living unconsciously, resulting in a near-fatal car crash that marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. Adulthood for me was characterized by disability, which compelled me to learn about society, relationships, and how family life changes. I had to adapt to new realities and unspoken horizons, including the social and environmental conditioning about people with disabilities. It wasn't until rehab and dealing with mental health issues that my life took a different turn. The journey to recovery involved overcoming alcohol and drug dependencies and ceasing the use of strong, mind-altering medications. I focused on improving my mental agility and starting over. Despite occasional setbacks, I embraced the power of creating my own destiny and overcoming defeat. It's important to note that this is not merely a personal story of triumph. It's a testament to the fact that everyone has to walk their own path. What worked for me may not work for you. Engage in research, explore alternative healing techniques, new discoveries, and even spiritual practices. Don't take anyone's word as gospel, including professionals. Follow your own rules and don't go with the crowd. Despite losing a wealth of information when my computer crashed, I wasn't fazed. I believe in my ability to inspire, educate, and advise based on my lived experiences because I have everything I need inside me, right here, right now. Heaven on earth. Our current situation holds the potential for greatness. It's important that we stay aware and attentive to all aspects of our lives and our surroundings. The philosophy of perennial wisdom, a profound understanding of the essence of our existence and the world, has been acknowledged by humanity for thousands of years. When his disciples asked about the arrival of the kingdom, Jesus gave them a profound answer. He said the kingdom would not come simply through waiting or anticipation. Instead, it is spread over the earth, unbound by any one place, neither here nor there. This idea resonates with the Buddhist philosophies of samsara and nirvana. Samsara signifies the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the ongoing cycle of suffering. Nirvana, alternatively, represents enlightenment and liberation from this cycle. However, these two states are not distinct but are one and the same. Through this understanding, we can examine our current state of existence, acknowledge what's already here, and strive to correct our flaws. In doing so, we can aim for enlightenment, thereby improving our lives and the world around us. Focus Blueprint. I consciously make rational decisions, breathing life into my dreams as they form. I maintain clarity by paying attention to my dual minds, acknowledging any urges, and following my instincts in a non-reactive manner. The choice to act or respond is mine. I'm reassessing my living standards, moving closer to my ideals each day. I need to consolidate my projects and goals. My aim is to make a positive impact globally, but I understand the need to start with smaller groups. Yes, dream big, but accept that they often materialize in small increments leading to upward progress. I use my energy wisely, understanding my internal triggers that set high standards, and eliminating external triggers. I'm aware of the lack of persistence in reaching grand goals and How small setbacks can dishearten me. These setbacks should not deter me. My successes have included daily rituals of meditation and self-improvement. I aim to dedicate more time to this because I have seen positive changes once before and believe in holistic improvement. I'm purifying my mind of negativity and replacing it with successful habits, self-esteem, and positive beliefs. Each day begins with me directing my mind towards achievable goals. I limit myself to what I believe I can achieve first, then move on to the next goal, enjoying the process until I reach a peak where I can comfortably remain. I focus on single tasking for thorough achievements as multitasking can be less efficient. I group tasks and information together to make them more manageable. Creativity is a skill I'm nurturing, and it can be expressed through any medium. My most creative work comes to life in the morning, leaving routine tasks for later in the day. Maintaining an organized environment and practicing deep breathing exercises assist in achieving clarity in my thoughts. I understand what excites me and control dopamine release by limiting rewards sensibly. I align my energy levels with my focus levels for efficiency. Focus is a habit. Meditate, sleep, exercise, and consume proteins regularly. Resistance is futile, what you resist will persist. Imagine a buoy bobbing on the open ocean, this represents your persona. Resistance pulls the buoy beneath the surface, but when you release it, the buoy naturally rises again, illustrating the sensation of feeling good. Releasing resistance is like an awakening, a return to peace and positivity. Consider it as watching a film of yourself on a TV. You identify with the image, thinking it's you. However, this is just a representation, separate from the TV screen. Few people identify with the screen, the medium through which we view these images. This idea ties to awakening to your true nature and understanding reality's true nature. There are recurring patterns in your life, possibly originating from childhood, that manifest in different scenarios with different people. Recognizing the belief that sustains the cycle can cause your reality to adjust, reflecting this new understanding. I am determined to embark on this journey. Though I already practice some meditation, it's minimal. I was recently inspired by a man who used meditation as an alternative to cannabis and prescription drugs for managing ADHD and sleep disorders. He simply observed his thoughts, letting them come and go without reaction, like leaves floating by in a stream. He noticed changes in just 3 days. His entire life, including his relationships, career, promotion, and new career path, transformed. He experienced awe without needing drugs or alcohol. After only 3 months, he emerged as a fundamentally different person due to his meditation practice. Inspired by his story, I vow to meditate daily. This simple practice is something I'm confident I can incorporate into my routine, and so can everyone else. For those who find it difficult, guided meditations can be a helpful starting point.